it's Jessica. Welcome and welcome back to the Not Carrie Bradshaw YouTube channel / podcast where I discuss all things style, wellness, pop culture, and whatever else comes up from week to week. We had to have a summer catch-up session real quick. I feel like I haven't talked to y'all in a while. Some things have happened, some things have not happened. We've had some side quests and some adventures, but we'll get into that in a bit. We have to first kick everything off with our fashion segment as per usual. So, in case you didn't know, our girl Cardi B has dropped is this a new single? The first single? A single from her upcoming album, her highly anticipated debut album. Can we just talk about that for a second? I'm really happy to see that she's finally coming back because people kept saying that she never would. And I'm cautiously optimistic about what this project will be. Either way, this single is Imaginary Players. This is an ode to Jay-Z's song of the same name, and she dropped the video recently. I love the video. It's very high fashion. I kind of want to say high concept. It's very much just talking her shit, popping her shit. Is it an exercise in capitalism, elitism, and poverty shaming? Absolutely. But people like you and I, we've done the work and we know how those systems play out in this world. And so we're just here to be entertained. And we're not listening to this music as a way to live our lives or to develop a new personality. Hello, somebody. We'll talk about that later. Now, one of the lines that she says as she's introducing the song, let me set the scene for you. She's at the airport, or what they would call the Clearport, for a private jet. And there's several, luxury cars circling around to bring her to this private jet. And she's in high fashion and all of the things. I love this. I'm always here for a girl, especially a girl who's been perceived as an underdog, popping her shit. I love that. I think that sometimes our egos are there to save us when it's regulated, okay? When it's regulated, not too much on that. So anyway, she says, you bitches don't even know the difference between vintage and archive. And I said, baby, I'm bitches. Hello? The bitches are in the room. It is I. Mind you, I have 2 degrees in fashion. I never considered the difference between vintage and archive. I think that I have been using them interchangeably without recognizing the actual difference. So I want to make sure that you and I aren't the bitches who don't know the difference between vintage and archive. So we are what? Resourceful. So I reached out to my friend who reached out to her good girlfriend, Tera Graham, on Instagram. I will put her link, Insta in the episode description. So don't try to look her up if you're driving or whatever. And she provided us with some very helpful little tips or some helpful little distinctions, right? So archival is highly collectible, usually runway or rare pieces, right? Archive, you have to know some fashion history and to even begin to know where to look. These are pieces that maybe never even made it into ready-to-wear manufacturing, right? So you can actually find, it doesn't always mean that it's going to be super expensive. According to Tera, you can actually find a very rare archival piece for $20 if you know where you're looking at and what you're looking for. To shop an archival piece, you have to actually know fashion history. You have to be familiar with collections from forever ago, and you have to have a concept of what it is that you're looking at and what you're looking for. You need the context of it, right? Vintage is just a piece from an old collection. It's old, ready to wear. Vintage can be your Forever 21 bodysuit from 2005. Technically that's vintage. It's a piece of a collection from a time before. Archive is much more rare, more highly coveted, not necessarily very, very expensive, but it typically is. So it's just the more rare pieces. So this is just more of Cardi talking her shit. And again, we love it. We want more of it. We hope to hear really great things from this album. I have my fingers crossed for her. I'm always rooting for her. So that's it for our fashion segment. Later on in the episode, we are going to talk about Metro Boomin. We are going to talk about rap music. Okay, we are going to talk about how we define beauty, right? Like, why are we talking about it in these terms? Okay, so stay tuned. We'll be right back. Okay, guys, we're back. So, for reasons that don't matter, I was hanging out with several straight dudes who I didn't really know like that. Let me give you some background. Let me give you some background. In New York, I don't have very many straight male friends. The ones that I have are like married and like very married, very settled down. We don't be outside kicking shit together, right? So I don't have straight single male friends here. Those people are back home for me or across the country for me, right? I don't really have that here. That's something that I felt like I might want, and now I'm not so sure. Okay, so let me tell you how it happened. My brother-in-law's bestie was in town. He was here with several dudes. So I linked up with them. And I told y'all about going to a second location with people y'all don't really know like that. And I didn't even follow my own rule. I went to a second location and shit was fine until it got weird. And I was like, bro, come on. So here's the thing. So the guy who I knew, he had some action set up. So he made sure I was, and these guys, let me be very clear, they were lovely. They were very protective of me and, you know, made sure that I had like drinks and, you know, made sure that I was comfortable. They were very lovely guys, but they were still guys, right? And as a Leo, I do this thing where if I have had 2 cocktails, I suddenly think that I'm wealthy and I want to buy drinks for everybody. So we were having a time, okay? Again, my friend dipped off because he had some action. Enjoy yourself. I felt very safe with these guys and still, you know, would hang out with them again. Here's the thing. You can only be so comfortable around straight dudes before somebody tries you. And it's like, bro, I thought we was out here having a good time. Yeah. Soon as that shit starts, I'm like, okay, guys, see you later. I just want to have fun. Girls just want to have fun. Shouts out to Metro Boomin. We'll get there. I don't know about hanging out with straight dudes like that. It's like, no matter how clear you make it, oh, I'm not really, you know, whatever. Somebody just can't help themselves. There has to be a comment. There has to be and you feel like you're just kicking it with the guys, but you have to watch things that you say so that you're not, you know, giving anyone the impression. It's just too much to manage. I just don't know about hanging out with straight dudes like that, especially new straight dudes. I just don't know. We'll see. I'm not, you know, opposed to it, but we'll see. I'm gonna tell you another thing about straight dudes. So I've been outside, y'all. We have been outside having a ball. Okay, we've been in these Brooklyn streets, these Manhattan streets. We've been outside. I've been loving it. So me and my good friend, my personal trainer Camille, hey Camille, she be on my page. We were just bar hopping one night, lounge hopping rather. We get to this one spot and this guy approaches me, and of course, if I've been drinking and I'm with my friends, the Atlanta really comes out more. So, and especially if I'm not trying to impress you, Chad, like whatever. So the accent, you know, he's, oh, where are you from? Oh, I'm from Atlanta. Let me be really clear. You can't riz me by talking shit about my city. Oh, everything in Atlanta, it's like everything is based around food. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? What's that mean? What's that mean? I just feel like Atlanta gets such a bad rap. Like, is there some questionable shit that happens there? Absolutely, but it's some questionable shit happening everywhere. This is the country that we live in. Not too much on Atlanta. People been going real hard on my hometown, and I don't like it. Okay, not too much on Atlanta, and especially like you can't possibly think that it's cute to like you can't riz me insulting my hometown, homie. You can just get the actual fuck out my face. Now you already weren't that cute or interesting to begin with. Now you're just annoying. Don't do that. I don't like it. Another beautiful thing that happened a couple of weeks ago, my really good friend had a rooftop dinner party. She is a huge fan of Ina Garten. I too. So she just gathered some of her favorite female friends and we all had a beautiful dinner that she prepared everything from scratch. Some of Ina Garten's like summer recipes. All the food was so good. My girl knows how to cook. Shouts out to having multicultural parents. Okay, my girl used the seasonings. It was delicious. The weather was perfect. It was a super blue sky. The dew point was low. We had like a light breeze, and it was like just as the sun was starting to set. So we had like golden hour photos, and the dress code was wear the thing that you never get to wear. Um, I have very few things like that because I wear all my shit. I found a reason to wear my shit, but I did find something that I loved, and I had such a good time communing with these ladies. And then when the sun set, there was a full moon, so it also felt a little witchy. So it was just so beautiful. And shouts out to my friend Ashley for that. I had a great time. So let's talk music, not music, music. I have been listening to Metro Boomin's album nonstop. I have been running to it, working out to it, commuting to it. It has blessed my spirit in such a significant way. It takes me back to such a specific time in my early 20s when I was outside partying, spending money I didn't have. Really, I wasn't spending money because let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. People give Atlanta girls a bad rap about our expectation for men to pay for things, but it's because men have always paid for things. In Atlanta, men have always been super generous. I can't tell you what drinks used to cost back in the day because I never had to buy one. I don't know what that was. It was never my eyes were blind to it. Back in my day, if you were in the club and it was you and your girls and everybody was looking good, dudes would be begging you to come in their section and to pour you a drink or whatever. And were we doing anything with them afterwards? Some of us were. Some of us were. I'm not gonna lie to you. Some of us were. But it was never me. And I'm gonna also say I was never the girl that like, if us going out and having a good time is only contingent upon dudes, oh, I'm not going because I can't perform for men like that. I can't do it. But if we're already out and incidentally is, oh, y'all come in our section, da, da, da. That's kind of like the club culture that we came up in, and people danced. And sure, we were wearing business casual for no good reason. Was I wearing a blazer in Club Libra? Yeah, why not? I did it. Was I wearing, tights and a blazer in Mansion? Yeah, yeah, I did that, okay? Were my edges sometimes sweated out? You fucking betcha, but we had a good time. Anywho, this album is taking me back to that place, and it features my favorite rapper after Beyonce. Young Dro is featured so heavily on this album. I'm so happy that Young Dro is getting his flowers, that people are recognizing that Young Dro is not only a very entertaining lyricist, he is an entertaining person. I could listen to him talk all day. He just reminds me, him and 2 Chainz are just like quintessential South Side and West Side niggas from Atlanta. I love them so much. I'm so happy with this project. And it makes me especially happy because I believe, like, I'm like a Southern rap supremacist. I'm not a rap purist. I don't care as much about lyricism as I care about the overall vibe. If you have something compelling to say via rap, you're gonna have to bury it in a real good beat. Okay, that's also why I like Outkast. Like Elevators, top tier lyrics, dope ass beat. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm a very beat first person, and I have never liked really talking about rap with men, to be honest, because I don't like ranking things in that way. But it's also this whole thing of like, oh, well, they sold this and they got this many awards. I've never cared about somebody being the best selling or somebody having the most awards, because we know those metrics don't tend to really apply to our music or to our artistry. Like for a lot of reasons we don't sell like a lot of other people sell, which is why it is especially it's a special achievement when a Black artist does sell a lot, because we know what Black artists have to overcome in order to get to that place. But that's never been the definition of a good rapper for me. Like I have just always enjoyed Young Dro. If I were fantastically wealthy, I would pay Young Dro to come up with metaphors to describe my nail colors because he does amazing things in describing colors. Like, what do you mean I hop blue cutlass? Even the way he said it, the way the flow was, I hop blue cutlass. Like, I love Young Dro. He's all over this project, but I was really irritated at people who just didn't get it and didn't understand that this just may not be an album for you. This album is almost like a historical record, a historical archive of a certain point in time in Atlanta music. And it just made me so happy. It just took me back to like Travis Porter and just like partying and having a good time. And I think that it's okay for people to put out projects that are specific to their region. Like, there are songs that I don't even think I can find on Apple Music because they were just so random, like from back in the day, and only people from like Georgia Southern, when I was at Georgia Southern, know this one random song. I kind of love stuff like that. It doesn't have to have this huge commercial success to be culturally relevant because we're not a monolith. And I would just love it if people would let people enjoy the things that they enjoy without trying to compare it to, like, why does everything have to be compared to something? Why can't things just exist as they exist? Like, why does it have to be, oh, who your top five, who your top? I enjoy different people for different things. You know, like, I don't want to sit here and list out, and I don't want to do that. That's not fun for me. I think that that kind of takes the fun out of things when you have to say, when you have to categorize and you have to like sort. But I don't like it. That's not fun for me. Um, so this brings me to my next let's see, I've been listening to a lot of Deante Kyle. I really enjoy him as a content creator. He is one of the few cishet black men who holds other cishet black men accountable, and I think that it's important within our community for individuals with similar identities to hold each other accountable. And I really like the work that he's doing. I think he's incredibly entertaining and he gives us all a lot to think about, right? So he was on a podcast slash YouTube channel called Rap Latte, which is hosted by Torrey Roberts and King Green. And they were talking about the Clips album, which a lot of people have been really obsessed with. I haven't gotten around to it because I've been listening to Metro Boomin, having a good time. Okay, so obviously the Clips rap a lot about cocaine, selling cocaine, luxury cocaine selling, all of the things, right? That's kind of like what they're known for. I haven't sat with this project yet, but I really love the conversation that these three men were having around what it means to be a Black American and see the impact of drugs on our community, but also celebrate, enjoy, be entertained by, listen to music that celebrates that lifestyle. So there's a bit of cognitive dissonance there, right? And that's something that, especially after my brother was killed, it was really difficult for me to listen to rap music that I used to really enjoy because I was hearing it from a different perspective of like, if a person has not done the work to understand why this is entertainment, why this is an art form, if a person doesn't have the intellectual rigor to extrapolate the entertainment out of it, but to look at it as a way of life or a way to live life, that could be incredibly dangerous. And that was something that I didn't listen to rap music for maybe about a year after my brother was killed because I couldn't hear it the same way. It sounded so much more realistically violent to me than it did before. And so tying that here, I appreciated where they landed with it, where they were saying that, and this is something we've talked about in other, from other perspectives in other industries. We don't get to pull out only the good parts of the Black American experience and talk about those. If this is something that we want to rectify within our community, we have to pull it out and we have to talk about it. And it doesn't just have to be from an academic perspective. Who's to say that we can't reconcile these things within our community through this art form? And what they were saying about the album, which I now want to listen to, because of the way they described it, that it's almost like a call and response, like that whole tradition of call and response, where one brother is talking about doing this and the other one is talking about why, like what the impact was. So it's almost like they're talking to each other. And I think that that's really, really cool. And they were also asking like whether or not that's intentional. And I appreciate that Tori Roberts quoted Nikki Giovanni, where she said that sometimes she writes in order to learn how she feels. This is something that I think about a lot when I write something, whether I publish it or not, when I journal, and I look back at something that I wrote and I'm like, oh, did I mean for that to be that kind of metaphor? And like sometimes as a creative, sometimes you surprise yourself and sometimes you learn something about yourself that you didn't even know was there through the creation of whatever your art is. And so now I do want to sit with that project. But another point that they made, where they were talking about, because Jay-Z used to rap about selling drugs and, you know, of course, Jeezy, you know, the whole thug motivation and all of those things. And they were saying that you could kind of consider what Jay-Z was talking about in his lyrics as just talking about hustling as a whole and not just necessarily this quote unquote glorification of selling drugs like to your own community, because that is harmful. We can't pretend that that doesn't do harm. However, we do need to look a little deeper at the context. These things don't exist in a vacuum. So if we're going to talk about the Black American experience, we can't just talk about the people over at Martha's Vineyard and the concept of quote unquote hashtag Black excellence. We have to look at our collective experience and look at even the parts that people have told us is shameful. You cannot take care of something that you are ashamed of. Shouts out to Reverend Solomon, Missouri for giving us that gem. So I highly recommend you guys listen to or watch that episode. I'll put a link in the episode description because y'all need to be familiar with Deante Kyle. So we have to have a conversation about beauty standards. Y'all know I am fascinated by our relationship to beauty, what we consider beautiful, how we treat people who we consider beautiful. All of those things really fascinate me. So there's been a conversation, I don't know if it started on Twitter or TikTok, but you know, I'm chronically online, so either or. And a woman was saying that she categorizes herself as a cutie patootie versus a baddie. And there were a lot of people that were like, oh my God, me too, blah, blah, blah. I fully understood what she was saying. However, I also am cautious about relegating yourself to an aesthetic label or an aesthetic class. And I'll tell you why. Walk with me. I think that if it helps you on your journey to self-discovery and individualizing, to categorize your aesthetic or how you present to the world, if that helps you on that journey, swing for the fences. What bothers me is when we assign certain virtues to people who look a certain kind of way. That's where shit gets murky. And so, of course, the niggas joined in on the conversation and it became, fellas, let me tell y'all the difference between, you know, a cutie patootie and a baddie. And it's ultimately, there were these men saying that you wife a cutie patootie, you don't wife a baddie. I think that when it comes to categorizing and labeling, that to me is some incredibly dehumanizing shit, because what you're trying to do is circumvent getting to know someone as a whole person. You want to just see a woman and put her in a box based on how you perceive her, and that's it. That is incredibly dehumanizing, because for every girl who presents a certain, people contain multitudes, and it's so limiting, and it's also so devoid of joy to make a person one-dimensional. And that's something that I struggled with a lot, especially in college. So I don't know if I ever told this story on here, but whatever. will tell it again. So when I was in college, I dated a guy who, in retrospect, I think that I was like a fantasy for him as opposed to a whole person. I was just this like thing that was like that he desired, that he just kind of wanted to conquer. And the more of my personality that he got to know, the more he tried to mold me into what his idea of me was. And at the time, I was much more male centered, much more invested in being chosen, much more invested in having the relationship, because that relationship was like the first time that I had felt like someone was really proud to be with me. That's not true, but it was what I felt at the time. And this girl came in, it was our senior year, and this girl was maybe a sophomore or a junior. I know she was younger than us. And she was a really, really pretty girl. She was light skinned. She had like such a pretty smile. And she was really, really quiet. And, you know, a lot of guys would, you know, oh, she bad, da da da. She was a very pretty girl. My boyfriend, I allowed my boyfriend to make me feel so insecure about this girl. And I didn't feel intimidated by her, but I felt threatened by her because she embodied so much of what he actually wanted. He wanted a girl that was really pretty, but that didn't draw as much attention as I did, because I've always been a yapper. I've always been opinionated. I've always liked to go to the party and throw some ass. I live a whole life, and it's not to say that this girl didn't live a whole life, but she was just much more actually demure than I was. And I felt so threatened by the fact that he treated her when she would come around, because she dated one of our homeboys, and the way he treated her with this like level of like respect and delicacy and care that he didn't give to me because I didn't present in that way. It just made me feel like I wasn't good enough because I was too not put together, but I was too flashy for him. And he wanted somebody who was more understated. And it made me feel like I wasn't enough. And maybe like about 4 years ago, because time is a social construct, that girl, and I was never unkind to her. I never, you know, I don't think I ever told anybody out loud until like way after I graduated, like about this experience. But a few years ago, she DM'd me and she was like, "Hey, I just want to tell you, like, I'm so proud of everything you're doing. You've always been so beautiful." And I was just like, no, you don't even understand like what your beauty like inspired in me. And it was just so, to be 38 now and look back at that, we were two very beautiful girls who just navigated the world very differently. And we were both very whole people who were relegated to these different perceptions based on men's expectations. And that's really shitty. The other thing is, I don't like that. If you as a man are more invested in getting other men's approval on who you date, if you prioritize their approval and their opinions over your own joy, your own pleasure, your own life in some cases, that's some incredibly wild shit that you need to sit with. Why are you, as an adult man, more invested in what other men think of your partner than you are invested in pursuing your own joy, pleasure, experiences? I think that there are a lot of men who find heavier women to be attractive, but they don't pursue them because they don't want to be made fun of. I think there are men who find alt girls, like alternative Black girls, are so cool, and they have so much personality and so many niche interests. And I think that there are a lot more Black guys who are attracted to them, but who don't choose them because they're worried about what other people will think. I think the same thing about a lot of trans women. I think that there are a lot of cishet men that find trans women to be very beautiful. And one of the things that I appreciate, just circling back to Deante Kyle, is that he said it's okay to admit that you think that a trans woman is beautiful. Nobody said you wanted to sleep with her, but it's okay to acknowledge that there is something about the way that person navigates or presents in the world that you find attractive. Nobody said you wanted to be with them, and even if you do, that too is okay. I want men to be more secure in their own choices for their partners so that you can stop telling all women that we need to subscribe to these very strict, rigid ideas of what it means to be a good and presentable and worthy woman. That kind of uh, just existing in that in one dimension, that's just not fun. Like, it's not fun. And I want more. I want for men to allow more whimsy. Allow some whimsy in your life. It can't just be this one type that's worthy of partnership. Like, for fuck's sake, have some fun. So that's it for this episode. Be sure to like and comment and subscribe and rate and review and share and join the Patreon and let me know what exclusive content you might be interested in hearing or seeing. Nothing that involves nudity, for God's sake. Y'all know I am not that person, but we support the girls who do. And I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.